My husband refused to take me to the hospital during labor, choosing lunch with his family instead. What should I do? I'm Selena, a 30-year-old female, a new mother to Eddie, who is only a few days old. I wish I could say that my family is happy right now, but they aren't. Everyone around me is pointing the finger at me because I am now going through a divorce. I understand that being a single mother is difficult, but I would stop at nothing to rescue my son from the poisonous atmosphere he would have been in had I not left that marriage. I need some frank feedback because I've made some terrible blunders. Since high school, Robert and I have been dating, and he has been kind to me. He planned dates, got me flowers, took me to get my nails done, and did all the other romantic things that girls like. His mother and sister were the only things he valued more than me, and I never objected to that. I suppose I interpreted it as a positive sign. I actually thought, oh well, he treats the women in his life so well. He is a real gentleman. If I ever get to marry him and become his wife, he will probably treat me even better. I can't even begin to explain how mistaken I was. The hunt ended the moment I married him. The taken-for-granted phase was the next stage. You don't realize emotional abuse all at once. You realize it over time. When you truly love that man, it's also quite hard to leave something like that. Now that I think about it, I should have recognized that Robert was incapable of setting limits or setting priorities, but love blinds you. Both my mother-in-law, Beatrice, and sister-in-law, Sarah, wore long trains of white and were maid of honor at my wedding. Robert stated it didn't really matter and that I was ruining our special day by being sulky when I brought up the fact that the bridesmaids and maid of honor were expected to wear pink. I should just concentrate on something else instead. But that was not all. They were in every photo, even interfering with the couple's candid shots. In response to the photographer's request that my sister-in-law stop, since he was becoming tired of her being in the frame, my husband said, "The kiddo is just having fun. Let her be." The photographer added, "I'm confident the photos would look better. My sister-in-law is not a child. Next year she will tie the knot at the age of 25. That day I felt so ashamed that I came to the realization that I had been mistaken about Robert all along. I was already Robert's wife, though, so it was too late. The one bright spot was that we were able to move in after our wedding because my cousin and his wife had given us a house as a wedding present. Although we didn't spend much time with my in-laws, Robert never stayed at home with me and instead visited them every weekend. He said that we would go on the vacation after his sister was married so that his sister and prospective brother-in-law could accompany us when I pointed out that we didn't even go on a honeymoon trip. It's important to note in this regard that his sister was unemployed and his future brother-in-law was a freeloader. She laughed it off when I tried to explain that marriage entails a lot of financial responsibility and that her brother would handle all of her financial obligations. I didn't bring up the topic again since I knew there wasn't much I could do about it without Robert's assistance, which he didn't provide. Yes, the warning signs were begging to be noticed, but I believed I could save our marriage. I have no idea why I chose to play Bob the Builder, but there I was, attempting to gain his favor by gaining the favor of his family. I chose to accompany Robert after realizing that he would not spend a single weekend with me. His mother and sister were not happy to see me the one and only time I visited. Even more unexpected was the presence of my sister-in-law Sarah, 26, and her freeloading fiancé Daniel, also 26. In essence, I was the only one who was never invited to participate. I explained that I had come to surprise them and that I had brought a cake with me. As though Sarah had told the greatest joke in the world, they all chuckled. When my sister-in-law added, "A nasty surprise, I see," Beatrice, Robert's 56-year-old mother, stated that they didn't have enough food for me because they didn't expect strangers, because this was family time. Since I was his wife, I expected Robert to remark something about how much more of a part of the family I am than Daniel. But instead, he was staring out the window and was totally absorbed in his thoughts, or at least acting that way. Robert gave me the car keys stoically after I informed him I would drive home. His mother waved goodbye with a smile and advised me not to act like a jealous child and bother Robert in that way. I cried all the way home and left without saying anything because I was so embarrassed. The following day, Robert took me out to dinner at my favorite continental restaurant after returning home that day with flowers and chocolates. Therefore, he was aware of the abhorrent treatment. He simply decided not to confront it. Robert treated me like a queen for the entire week that followed, until the following weekend, at which point he left for his contented family. Until the following weekend, he would return and overcompensate. After a few months of marriage, this pattern occurred, and even the preferential treatment ceased. Dismissal took its place. He would blame me for not understanding his responsibilities to his family and say that I should be accustomed to his Saturday breakfast with his family by now if I ever mentioned how lonely I felt on the weekends and wanted to spend time with him. He frequently accused me of exaggerating. I told my mother about my extreme dissatisfaction. According to Mom, if we had a child, Robert might be more involved and at home, and I might not feel as alone. I reprimanded her and told her that having a child would be a very selfish motive, but she managed to get the notion into my head, and I continued to consider it. I might have to drop the child off at my mom's before I left for work because we would both be working parents, but on the weekends, I would be able to spend a lot of time with the child. Wouldn't the baby's father want the same thing? I asked my husband whether he thought we were ready to become parents as I gradually developed a kind of baby fever. He was ecstatic and said that his mother had even hinted at this. He shrugged and stated that his mother was growing old and ready to be a grandma when I asked him why she wanted us to have a child. Therefore, it would be beneficial to have a young man who could look after her. I informed him that I didn't believe he was ready to be a father and that he couldn't use our child to care for his mother. The baby conversation was out of the question after our argument. I'm not sure what changed, but all of a sudden, Robert began spending his weekends at home. He resumed his pre-marriage treatment of me, even purchasing tickets to the Maldives for our much-postponed honeymoon. During our week-long honeymoon in the Maldives, Robert made me feel incredibly unique and adored. He claimed he wanted to make amends for hurting my feelings. I fell straight into his trap, foolish as I was. We found out I was pregnant after returning from our vacation. It delighted Robert. Robert persuaded me that we were prepared to become parents despite my reservations. During the first 3 months of my pregnancy, he took exceptional care of me, taking me to the doctor, making sure I took my vitamins, staying at home on the weekends, ordering all the food I wanted, and shopping for our unborn child. Things returned to their pre-vacation state in the 4th month. He had gotten me pregnant and ensured that I would do all in my power to avoid ending the pregnancy. That was the act's entire purpose. I was really depressed in the weeks before my labor. My mom came over to look after me, but she always blamed Robert's actions on his wealth, which was all that mattered to her. The 3rd week of December was my due date. Mom attended her brother's funeral 2 weeks prior to my birth. I was unable to attend my uncle's funeral because the due date was so near. I pleaded with my husband to spend the weekend at home. My uncle's passing made me sad and lonely. I didn't want to be at home by myself on that particular day. I stated this to my husband, and he responded, "Selena, you are going to be a mother and make a lot of sacrifices in the future, so being alone for a day is nothing compared to the sacrifices that you have to make. I will suggest that you better sleep it off. I will see you tonight. Don't wait up for me. I will have dinner with them. Bye, honey. Take care. Remember, you have to take care of yourself for our little Eddie." He took the car keys and drove off without even waiting for my answer. That particular day, I was feeling very ill, so I went to lie down and dozed off for almost an hour. I woke up with excruciating cramping. I was horrified to discover that my water had burst when I noticed that the bed was damp. I contacted my spouse right away. Before answering, he hung up the phone twice. His voice was absolutely irritated. When I told him my water broke, I actually screamed. He said, "So? Why are you wasting time calling me? Call the hospital or something. I don't know, man. Gosh, you are a grown woman. Pull yourself together and face the situation. I am literally between brunch with everybody. Even Daniel's parents are here. Stop calling me." The line died. After staring at the phone I was holding, I went outside onto the street. I couldn't even drive myself to the hospital since Robert had taken the car. A man stopped when I flagged down a car. He held the door open for me in a hurry. I was taken to the hospital quickly. Mr. Sharma, the gentleman, completed all the papers and asked if I wanted him to make a phone call. He came and informed me that no one was answering after I gave him my husband's phone number. In that instant, a stranger named Mr. Sharma stood up for me. Eddie was the only person who came to see me after I gave birth. He brought me chicken wings, bananas, and baby outfits. I started to cry since my uncle was unable to be present in person. I had the impression that his spirit had sent this man. Mr. Sharma gave me a pat on the hand and congratulated me. He muttered a prayer for Eddie after I handed him over. I reminded him of his daughter, he said, and I should call him if I ever needed anything. I got his card from him. I noticed that he practiced divorce law. I believed that all of the signals were coming from my guardian angel. I told Mr. Sharma without hesitation that I was looking for a place to stay. I desired a home of my own. He offered to transfer me into his penthouse, saying I wouldn't have to worry about the rent until I started working. He turned back before leaving, saying, "By the way, you can call me Uncle." That evening, my husband called. In the interim, I didn't answer, but I did see it ring. I requested the nurses not to tell my husband that I was there in case he called, since I didn't want him to know. They concurred. My spouse texted me to inquire which hospital I was at. I didn't respond. I was questioned by the nurses if they ought to contact social services. I requested that they refrain. The physicians and nurses were incredibly understanding and nice. My mother would undoubtedly tell Robert where I was, so I didn't even answer her phone. When Uncle Sharma arrived the following day, he informed me that everything was prepared for my move-in. Since his daughter used to live there, he claimed there wasn't much to prepare anyhow. It was not long ago that she left the nation to work somewhere in Germany. He claimed that because he missed his daughter so much, it would be pleasant to have someone live in her apartment. His wife was equally excited to meet me, he informed me. I was driven to their tidy and lovely apartment by Uncle Sharma. Andy quickly began discussing ways to make things comfortable for me. Even though she was overweight, I kept telling them that all I wanted was to stay there, but they kept asking if I wanted anything. After telling them all that had transpired, I requested that my uncle initiate the divorce process. I replied that I had never believed in anything more when he questioned whether I was certain about it. I was instructed by my uncle to text my spouse about the birth of my son, so I sent Robert an SMS about it. He informed me that I had been really irresponsible and that we needed to go meet his family right now with Eddie. He had the audacity to believe that I would take my son to meet his toxic family. I told him no, after a period of silence. He continued, "Don't be a kid. We have to take Eddie to his godmother." When I questioned him who made the decision to name Robert's sister as the godmother, he told me to stop being funny since that was how it was always meant to be. I lost my composure and began to scream. "You know what's ridiculous? It's you. You are the damn joker. I had to take a lift to the damn hospital and give birth alone. If you loved me and your son, you would have rushed to us. You are so damn selfish, and your family is crazy. You are not going to be a part of my son's life. You will hear from my lawyer soon. I am divorcing you." When I hung up, I was furious. Auntie seemed somewhat worried. She said that my spouse was a child and not a man. When I hung up, for the first time in a long time, I laughed. When my mother called, she went on and on about how awful I was and how Robert had called to let her know what had happened. She informed me that because I had taken my son away from them, their family was pursuing charges. It seems that I am a self-centered mother who only cares about herself, so I should be hauled to court and have my son taken away from me. They claimed that I was unfit to be a mother because of my depression. I informed my mother that I didn't care about their opinion since I was confident I would win the case and be granted sole custody of my son. I ended the call and made the decision not to answer any more calls from my relatives. In order to augment my income, I began applying for freelance jobs even though I had a job already. I needed more if I wanted to provide for my son comfortably. My phone began buzzing nonstop with texts all of a sudden. Daniel's entire family and my in-laws were sending me hateful texts. They were calling me a villain in derogatory terms since I had destroyed their family. "The only thing that is saving you right now is the fact that we don't know your address. Otherwise, we would totally come over and teach you a lesson, you stupid cuss words," they said, threatening to break into my house and take my son by force. Auntie grabbed the phone out of my hand as I was shivering from reading these texts and said, "You're going to eat and get some rest. I will look after Eddie till you wake up. You are not going to check your phone and not stress. Your uncle will take care of everything. When you wake up, your uncle will take you to the police station to lodge a complaint. We need to file a restraining order." I really wanted to vent, and I figured that putting it in writing would help me gather my thoughts. This was written in the bathtub during a lengthy soak. I'm going to bed shortly. The question of whether I made the right decision in preventing Robert from meeting Eddie, however, has been the one that has been plaguing me the most. Will this have an impact on his child's brain? I'm not sure whether Robert's presence would have had a negative impact on him because I don't think he is a good role model in any way. Update 1. Despite my reluctance to acknowledge it, I have been reading your comments, and you are correct. Both divorce and the loss of a parent will inevitably affect Eddie in some way. Simply said, I'm happy Uncle and Auntie Sharma will show the baby the affection he needs. Yesterday, I spoke with Uncle's daughter. She works as a scientist. I was explaining the situation that led me to her apartment to her. She concluded by saying that God orchestrated the gathering. She was quite concerned about her parents, but for the first time in a long time, she saw her mother truly happy now that I was there. Don't worry about the rent yet, she said, to my astonishment. She returned my gratitude after I expressed it. I feel so fortunate that I cannot express it to you all. Eddie will look up to Uncle Sharma as a positive male role model. I've given it a lot of thought, and I believe I will be as honest as possible in my responses to Eddie's challenging questions. I'll make an effort to teach him how to be a man rather than a pet of his mother. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Update 2. Let's get to the update. Uncle and I went to file the restraining order after I woke up from my nap. I can state with confidence that Eddie is in good hands because Annie has been taking excellent care of him. Since the restraining order was filed, there's been a lot of calm, but I think I caught a glimpse of Daniel today as I headed to work. I'm not sure if this is just a hallucination or what. I might have paranoia. I don't want to cause Uncle or Auntie any unnecessary anxiety. Therefore, I haven't told them about this. Technically, there is nothing preventing Daniel from attempting to get in touch with me because the restraining order has been filed against Robert's family. I don't want them to learn my residence. I'll keep you all informed. Update 3. Hello everyone. My penthouse was egged last night. I was by myself. Auntie and Uncle had gone home for the night. I rushed to Eddie's sleeping quarters and embraced him. He was sobbing uncontrollably and really frightened. I was secretly experiencing a panic attack because I felt so frightened and constrained. I attempted rocking Eddie back to sleep after the egging ceased after 15 long minutes. Since I was immobile, I placed Eddie on my bed and lay awake with him after he fell asleep. When Auntie arrived to meet me the following morning, she was in a complete panic. She wanted me to live with them in their home, but I informed her that it wouldn't make a difference because their house will be egged the next time. Although I believe my hypothesis that Daniel had followed me was correct, we are unable to bring a direct case against him because the law does not allow for speculation. We have accused unidentified individuals of vandalism. As I write this, Uncle is installing cameras and a new security system. Next week is when we have our court hearing. I'll keep you all informed. Update 4. I'm exhausted. This will only be a brief update. All I want is for the hearing to end at this point. The drama is becoming excessive. Daniel attempted to break into the house last night. The security system alerted 911 right away, and he was apprehended. He had a black balaclava on. The police took him away. Upon questioning, it was discovered that they intended to abduct Eddie. Then custody would go to Robert, and I might be seen as a negligent mother. However, the entire game was altered by the fact that he was captured. They have absolutely no chance of winning now, and more significantly, some of them will be going to jail. Update 5. The kidnapping plot was rejected by Robert's family. Yes, I'm not at all surprised. Daniel was completely enamored with Sarah, but she has since left him. My uncle told me that no one ever paid Daniel a visit while he was in detention. Uncle gave Robert a lot of attention throughout our court session today. It appears that things will work out for us. Robert rushed up to me and held my hand as I was leaving after the hearing. He wanted me to move back with him and our child after admitting his sins. I was on the verge of giving in, but then I recalled all the times I had done so, and everything had simply returned to normal. I asked him to try his foolish stunts on someone else after taking my hand away from his. I told him that he needed to mature and that it was unrealistic to expect a man who didn't act like an adult to raise a child. It is unheard of for a child to raise another child, is it not? Mic drop. Before he could say anything further, I hopped into Uncle's car and drove off. I gave myself a mental fist pump in anticipation of this incredible comeback. LOL. How do you all feel about my return? Wish me luck at the upcoming hearing as well. Can you guess who received Eddie's custody and the majority of the child support? Selena, your girl, is the one. Robert was granted visiting rights. That's all. I'm not going to appeal since I don't think it will be pleasant to deny my child his father. I don't want Eddie to grow up and blame my egotistical drive to win for his dad's unfamiliar appearance, even though I am positive that we would win if I did this. This is exactly what I told Robert, but I added a caveat. He must never take Eddie to see his sister and grandma. I won't think twice about removing his visiting privileges if I discover anything suspicious happening behind my back. In addition to my usual career, I have secured a highly lucrative freelance position. Additionally, I am establishing a blog for new single mothers, which is becoming very popular. I already have some sponsors. I invite you to see my blog as well. I can't express how thrilled I am to be a new mother right now. Motherhood is going nicely for me. Being Eddie's mother makes me happy. In addition, my mother has returned. She finally believes that I made the correct decision in leaving that marriage after the abduction attempt. She thanked Uncle and Auntie excessively and apologized to me. She cried as she saw her grandchild for the first time. She cursed Daniel while cradling Eddie. She expressed her disbelief that someone would genuinely attempt to harm a child in such a terrible way. For a youngster, nothing hurts more than being taken away from its mother. I wholeheartedly concur. Daniel is still on trial. Uncle claims that he will undoubtedly go to jail given the evidence against him. Sarah, meantime, is already married to a wealthy elderly man she met at a party. It seems that after just 1 week of dating, they are getting married. A friend of mine who lives close to Robert's residence is providing me with updates on their family. All the tea is going to your daughter, LOL. Oh, and I had requested that Robert vacate our home. Come on, it was a present from my family. Therefore, it's only right that he moves out. This week, he moved out. Therefore, I'm going back to my former residence. I can't even begin to express how grateful I am to the Sharma family. For 2 months, I remained with them at no cost. They refused to accept my attempt to pay them rent. They only collected a month's rent in the end, claiming that this was my uncle's fee for defending me and that they would not want any more money from me. Update 6. I apologize for not responding to you all sooner. God, being a mother is a full-time job. I know, it's been 6 months. I'm grateful for my mother and Andy. When I leave for work, they alternately watch Eddie. These 2 ladies have been a huge assistance. After returning home and enjoying some delicious and nourishing meals, I play with Eddie till he falls asleep. Every weekend, my uncle comes to visit us, and I also got to meet his daughter, who recently moved here from Germany. She is as kind as her parents, and she spent a week with us. I asked her to be my son's godmother just before she left for Germany. She sobbed uncontrollably and gave Eddie and me hugs. Eddie's godfather is my cousin, who gave the house as a gift. He wasn't shocked when I told him what had happened over the past 6 months. He claimed that he had reservations and constantly felt Robert was immature. He apologized for not being able to support me during that time because he was out of the country. I was unable to contact him. It wouldn't have helped even if I had succeeded in doing it. Eddie has experienced a lot of firsts in the last few months. After learning to roll over, he attempted to crawl. He spoke his first word as well. He really enjoys his Bumblebee soft toy, but my mom says it's simply a random sound he made. Every month, Robert continues to provide new items. It felt incredibly weird when he came to visit us last week. The fact that the man I loved so deeply is now a stranger also kind of hurts me, but that's life, I suppose. Even though bad things happen, one must remain optimistic. I let Robert play with Eddie by himself. It was a smart move because I could do a lot of work while Robert took care of the infant. Robert had put baby Eddie to sleep before I finished all of my job. He appeared incredibly small and frail as he lay on Robert's chest. Robert was partly sleeping, and the thought of what might have happened made me very sad. According to my therapist, it's normal to feel this way and not feel bad about being sad for Robert. After gathering myself, I took a photo of the father and son. I framed that photo and gave it to Robert as a birthday present. After giving it a thorough examination, he thanked me. Being a father has, in my opinion, caused him to undergo a major transformation. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.